The weather adventure of Tina and Julio. Once upon a time, in a small town in the Philippines, Tina and her brother Julio were excited about the upcoming school science fair. They decided to create a project on the local weather patterns. Julio, let's try to make a project that will help our small town about weather conditions. That's a great idea. I agree with you, sis. They knew the Philippines experienced different weather conditions, from sunny days to rainy seasons, and they wanted to showcase how these changes affected their town. While planning their project, they need to prepare, and so Tina and Julio did. To prepare, they decided to track the temperature over a week, noting each day's weather. They gathered the following data. On Monday, of course, it's sunny, and that's why Mr. Sun is smiling. It's sunny with a temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. Tuesday, it's cloudy. Yes, with a temperature of 28 degrees Celsius. Wednesday, it's rainy with a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. Oh, it's raining, so we need an umbrella. Wednesday is rainy with a 25 degrees Celsius. That's the temperature. Thursday, we go back to sunny, but the temperature is 32 degrees Celsius. Friday, oh, it's actually stormy during Friday. Oh, thunderstorms. Mhm. It's stormy with a temperature of 22 degrees Celsius. Saturday, we go back from being cloudy with a temperature of 24 degrees Celsius. And Sunday, it's sunny again with a temperature of 29 degrees Celsius. Calculating the weekly average. To find the average temperature, Tina and Julio first needed to add all the temperatures together, and then they have to divide the number of days. Okay, so let us now add first those temperatures, and those temperatures are 30, 28, 25, 32, 22, 24, and 29. So first we add them. So what is 30 plus 28? Of course, that is 58. And then 58, we're going to add 25. Of course, that would be from 58, we add 25, that will give us 83. And then 83, we are going to add 32. It will give us 115. And from 115, we are going to add 22. So that's 7, that is 3. So it's 137. And then 137 plus 24, Okay, 11, 1, okay, 6, that will be 161. And lastly, 161 plus 29, 0, 1. Okay, so that is 9. All right, so it's 190 degrees Celsius. So that's actually your, what do you call this? That is your total temperature for the week. It's 190 degrees Celsius. But we're concerned of calculating, Julio and Tina is actually concerned in calculating the weekly um, average. Okay, so what do we do with 190 degrees Celsius? Of course, we're going to divide that to the number of days, which is 7. And approximately, it will give us 27.14. Okay, so that is actually our weekly average. How did we get that? How did we get 27.14? Of course, um, we divide 190 degrees Celsius to the number of days, which is 7. All right, now we go to the next part. We go to the interesting part. Now, understanding the weather changes. Now, the next step that Tina and Julio wanted is to show how temperatures could change from day to day. Interesting. They decided to track the temperature changes by using positive and negative integers. Now, for us to track the temperature changes from day to day using positive and negative integers, we can represent the temperature of each day relative to the temperature of the previous day. We'll calculate the difference in temperature between consecutive days. So we know that on Monday, so I'm going to list the daily temperatures. We have 30 degrees Celsius. On Tuesday, we have 28 degrees Celsius. On Wednesday, we have 25 degrees Celsius. On Thursday, we have 32 degrees Celsius. On Friday, we have 22 degrees Celsius. Saturday, we have 24 degrees Celsius. And of course, lastly, Sunday, we have 29 degrees Celsius. So those are our temperature. Now, the next step is we must see the temperature changes. All right. So let's, okay, Tina and Julio must see the, what do you call this? The temperature changes. All right. Let's erase that one. And let's start our calculation. So from Monday to Tuesday, we have 28 degrees Celsius minus 30 degrees Celsius. It will give us negative 2 degrees Celsius. So this means that our temperature decreased by um, decreased by 2 degrees Celsius. Next, we go from Tuesday to Wednesday. Okay, so we have 25 minus 28. I'm sorry, I forgot to include the degrees Celsius. So 25 degrees Celsius minus 28 degrees Celsius will give us -3 degrees Celsius. Again, this implies that our temperature decreased by 3 degrees Celsius. All right, so let's give this one some space so we can actually have some space here. So we're done from Monday to Tuesday, from Tuesday to Wednesday. We can see that it's like fluctuating. All right, how about from Wednesday to Thursday? So it's actually 32 degrees Celsius minus 25 degrees Celsius will give us 7 degrees Celsius. I repeat, from Wednesday to Thursday, we have 32 degrees Celsius minus 25 degrees Celsius. It actually gave us 7 degrees Celsius, which means that it actually increased, our temperature increased by 7 degrees Celsius. And how about Thursday to Friday? It's actually fun. Thursday to Friday, so we have 22 degrees Celsius minus 32 degrees Celsius. It will give us a result of -10 degrees Celsius. Again, it actually decreased by 10 degrees Celsius. Next, let's go to Friday to Saturday. So we have 24 degrees Celsius minus 22 degrees Celsius will give us um, 2 excuse me, 2 degrees Celsius. What does it mean? A while ago it decreased, now it increased by 2 degrees Celsius. Okay. As you notice, it seems that the weather temperature is actually fluctuating. And then we go to the last one, that is from Saturday to Sunday. So we have 29 degrees Celsius minus 24 degrees Celsius will give us a result of a positive temperature. So it's positive degrees Celsius, meaning it increased by 5 degrees Celsius. Now, let us see our summary changes or summary of changes. Let us see the summary of changes of Julio and Tina. Okay, so from Monday to Tuesday, it's actually -2, right? So from Tuesday to Wednesday, it's actually -3. And from Wednesday to Thursday, it increased by 7. And as we further move along, okay, so that is from Thursday to Friday, okay? From Thursday to Friday, it again decreased by 10, or we have -10. I repeat, it's -10. That is from Thursday to Friday. How about from Friday to Saturday? So from -10, it increased by 2. Okay. And then lastly, from Saturday to Sunday, it increased by 5. So these are actually the findings of Tina and Julio as they track the temperature changes by using positive and negative integers. Interesting. It actually illustrates how the temperature, as I said before, were actually fluctuating throughout the week. Positive values, remember, indicate increases in temperature, while negative um, values indicate decreases. So this actually made it clear or provides a clear view of the temperature trends over the week, creating their presentation. So using this information, Tina and Julio, okay, let's draw Tina. Tina and Julio um, created a colorful chart. Yeah, they created a colorful chart. They labeled, okay, let's draw Julio. And with his eyeglasses, right? So they labeled each change with positive and negative integers, illustrating how weather fluctuated throughout the week. Julio, we were able to accomplish our work. Yes, sis. It's so really, it feels so good. The science fair day. On the day of the science fair, again, let's draw. Okay, we will draw first. We will draw first. We will draw first um, Tina, and then Julio will be on the other side with his eyeglasses. And there were crowds. Mhm. Let's draw some graph. Okay, so on the day of the science fair, Tina and Julio set up their display. As visitors came, they explained how the weather affects daily life in the Philippines and how their calculations showed the temperature changes. One curious classmate raised his hand and asked, "What happens if the temperature drops below zero?" And Tina smiled and said, "We just use negative integers. Like if it drops from 0 degrees Celsius to negative 5 degrees Celsius, we would show that as a drop of 5 degrees." Conclusion: their project was a hit. Tina and Julio, let's draw Tina with her ribbon. And of course, Julio with his eyeglasses. Of course, it was a hit. Tina and Julio not only learned about the weather, we have sunny, we have cloudy, Mr. Sunny, Mr. Cloudy, Mr. Rainy, always crying. Okay, not only learned about the weather, but also about how to add and subtract positive and negative integers. They left the fair proud of their hard work, excited about the knowledge they had gained. Moral of the story: math can help us understand the world around us, making even the weather more interesting. End of story. All right, I hope you like the story. So, our lesson two for today is addition and subtraction of integers. We will now connect the story to our lesson for today. Are you ready? Let's start. All right. So, for our objectives, number one is for us to understand and apply the rules of adding integers with the same and different signs. That's number one. I repeat, to understand and apply the rules for adding integers with the same and different signs. Number two, to learn how to convert subtraction of integers into addition by using the additive inverse. And number three, for us to solve real world problems, just like Tina and Julio about the weather and science that involve adding and subtracting integers, demonstrating the ability to apply these concepts in practical situation. Let us begin with the first example and the first rule. This is when we are adding integers with the same sign. Remember the rule: when you add integers that have the same sign, you simply add their absolute values and keep the sign. Let us have an example for a positive integers. For example, 4 plus 5, the result will be 9. As you can see, both 4 and 5 are positive. So the result is also positive, which is 9. How about if we have negative integers, like negative 3 plus negative 6? So what is the answer? As I said, both numbers, which is negative 3 and negative 6, are negative. So all we have to do is just add them, add their absolute values, which is 3 plus 6 equals 9, and keep the negative sign. So the answer here will be negative 9. Let me repeat that. All you have to do, since they are both negative numbers, negative 3 plus negative 6 equals negative 9, you just add their absolute values. 3 plus 6 equals 9, and keep the negative sign. Next, okay, how about adding integers with different signs? When you add integers with different signs, sorry about that. Okay, when you add integers with different signs, you subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value and take the sign of the number with, always remember this, the larger absolute value. Okay, let's have an example. Example, we have 7 plus negative 4. All right, here you subtract the absolute value, which is 7 minus 4 will give us 3. Since 7 is actually positive and has the larger absolute value, then the result is 3. Next, how about negative 5 plus 2? Hmm, looks difficult. Again, subtract the absolute value. So that will be 5 minus 2 will give us 3. Now, since negative 5 has the larger absolute value, the result should be negative 3. Okay? I repeat, since negative 5 has the larger absolute value, the result would be negative 3. You may use the number line if you like. Okay? So, in summary, subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger one and use the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. All right, let's have some practice problems. Okay, pretty easy, I believe. So, for number one, you can see that both numbers are positive 10 plus 6. So, the answer would be 16. Okay, both of them are positive, so you just add them. Number two, okay, so both are negative numbers, or both numbers are negative. So add their absolute value. Okay, so it will add their absolute value, and don't forget to keep their negative sign. So this will be negative 9. Okay, and then for number three, we have 30 plus negative 15. Now, what we're going to do here is to subtract the values. Subtract the absolute values. So we have 30 minus 15 will give us 15. Since 30 is actually positive, the result is also positive. Next, all right, next is negative 20 plus 18. Again, we always look back with our rule, which states that subtract the absolute values. Okay, so minus we have 20 minus 18 will give us actually 2. Now, since negative 20 has what? Has the larger absolute value, the result is negative. So it's supposed to be negative 2. Okay? Okay, so here are our answers. Let's encircle them. And lastly, of course, both numbers are positive. 7 plus 22 will give us 29. Both numbers are positive, so we just add them. Okay? So those are our practice problems for adding integers with same and different signs. We proceed to the next. Now, for the next one, this is about subtracting an integer. So the rule is whenever we subtract an integer, we have to change the operation to addition and use the opposite sign of the integer being subtracted. Okay? It's like this rule. So a minus b equals a plus negative b. Sometimes I would call this as add its opposite. Okay? Follow the addition rules Once you've actually rewritten, okay, the subtraction as addition, apply the rules for adding integers. That is between same sign versus different signs. Okay, let's have a simple example. So, for example, we have 6 minus 9. Do you think it's hard? No, it's not. So, the first thing that you need to do is to rewrite the subtraction because it's in subtraction. Rewrite it as 6 minus 9. We're going to rewrite it as 6 plus negative 9. Okay? It's like saying add its opposite. What is the opposite of, because this is the, minus, and this one is actually, what is the opposite of, 9 is actually positive here, but what is the opposite of 9? It's negative 9. And then we say add its opposite, right? Okay. Now, since you're adding a positive integer and a negative integer, we go back to what we discussed a while ago. We have to subtract their absolute values. Okay. So 6 plus negative 9, this is actually 6 minus 9 will give us negative 3. All right? Easy. So here, the absolute values are 6. The absolute values are 6 and 9. Now, we can see that 9 has the larger absolute value. The result is negative. Now, so this approach works for any subtraction of integers. All right, now let's go to our practice problems. All right, so we have now, okay, let's do it together. We have again 5 practice problems. We have 3 minus negative 2. So, what are we going to do with this one? Of course, we have to rewrite it as 3 plus 2, and that will give us 5. Okay, next, how about negative 6 minus negative 7? Rewrite it again as negative 6 plus 7. Okay, negative 6. Okay, negative 6 plus 7 will give us 1. That is our answer. Next, how about negative 14 minus negative 4? Rewrite it. Negative 14 plus 4 will give us negative 10. So that's negative 14 plus 4 will give us negative 10. Okay, pretty easy, right? And then how about number 4? Number 4, again, we're going to rewrite it as negative 16 plus 27, and our answer would be 11. Okay? And then lastly, we can do direct calculation here as 20 minus 15. Okay, 20 minus 15 will give us 5. There you go. So our answers are 5, 1, negative 10, 11, and 5. Now it's your turn. This is a word problem, just like the story of Tina and Julio. So, what are you going to do? In the word problem, Maria is tracking the temperature changes throughout a week. Related again in science. The temperatures recorded in degrees Celsius are as follows. So, on Monday, you have 5 degrees Celsius. On Tuesday, you have negative 3 degrees Celsius. On Wednesday, you have 2 degrees Celsius. On Thursday, you have negative 6 degrees Celsius. And lastly, of course, on Friday, you have 4 degrees Celsius. Now, at the end of the week, Maria wants to find out the overall change in temperature from the start of the week, which is Monday, to the end of the week, which is Friday. The question is, what is the total change in temperature from Monday to Friday?